As the Carthaginians used to say, hi, my name's Eric. Welcome to Talking with Famous People. I'm the host of Talking with Famous People. Some people call me Host Eric, the hostess with the mostest. I was supposed to have a typing session this morning at 10:30, and I even managed to, with the help of olanzapine, make myself go to bed at a certain time, like, early enough to actually get like 5, 6 hours of sleep before I got up, which I successfully did. Only to learn when I got up that he wanted to push it back to tomorrow, which is fine. I said, sure, no problem. But it's like if I had known that, I would have slept in more. Anyway, I'm up, so I'm up, and Daniel Barry Sports Highlights is here. What more does anyone need to have a wonderful day? Tomorrow morning, I got to drive down to Oakhurst and deposit a check. Then I have 2 typing sessions tomorrow and a family meeting with Rachel's family. So it's it's a it's a busy moment in life, I guess. A lot of stuff going on. Just not just with in terms of like appointments and such, although yes, that, but also in terms of just another chapter in my life. Uh, I guess you'd call this chapter of my life the post depression resurgence. I feel that's what I'm in right now. I'm post depression resurgence. That I'm over all that shit that happened in terms of like it being debilitating to me at all. I feel like there's a lot of magic in the air right now. When I was feeling that, I think it was last night, and I went into the bedroom. I said, "Hey Rachel, what do you think about me doing a tarot read for you? I'm feeling a lot of the magic." I think this happened in there, but it may have happened here. I don't know, but I was going to do 3 card read for her, but for some reason, as the first one practically jumped out of the deck, I'm like firstborn, and then I realized I was doing her family for the family meeting, and for all the cards, her brother, for her sister, for her mom, for me. I'm not sure how accurate the brother's wife and sister's boyfriend are because I've never talked to them before, but it was the magic was just flying hot and fast. It was crazy. And I mean, part of the whole magic thing, as far as right now goes, is like that. I had this irrational fear about going into the bank that for some reason, somehow they were going to tell me I wasn't allowed to go into my safe deposit boxes. And then when I get to the counter, I hear the lady after she's looking at my shit say restricted access. Turns out there was no problem at all, but she thought there was a problem. And for a second, I thought there was going to be that my irrational fear in the car was going to turn out to be correct. It didn't, but it's like, what the hell? How did that happen? It's so serendipitous, or such synchronicity, you might say. So I'm playing in this poker tournament. It's a $33 poker tournament. And I really do believe that playing in these poker tournaments, I got a decent, it's decent, I got a not unreasonable shot. You are chilling, man. I am chilling. Hey there, I will donate $5. Did you say my car smells like cheese? My car doesn't smell like cheese. I think there's chunks in my pee, but it's cool with me. Chunks of what? Chunks of bladder? Chunks of urethra? Urethra Franklin? That's why you don't want to ever name your kid Aretha. It sounds too much like urethra. Heisenberg. No, I'm not Heisenberg. I do have a beard, and I am 53 years old. But I always hated chemistry. And if I tried to cook meth, it would come out terrible. Instead of keeping you up, it would make you feel just sleepy. Hello, just can you tell us about the mysterious purple gumps episode that happened in your last stream? I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea whatsoever. I feel happy. I'm like, oh cool. I'm up. I got these things to play around at, etc. It's nice. Ever been to the Middle East? No, I've never been to the Middle East. I've been to the Far East. I've been to Taiwan and China, but not to the Middle East. I've been to Europe, been to Canada, been to Mexico. Am I retired? I'm not. I mean, I'm at the moment. Yeah, you could say that, but I am. I'm on a life break. I'm at the end of a life break. Okay, so when my parents died a couple years ago, and I inherited the estate, and I've just been kind of processing ever since. But I feel like I'm out of that malaise now. So I'm hopeful today. Maybe I'll get back over to the other property and make more progress on the painting. We've got, I think, a good actionable plan as to what to do going forward here on this. Because I think I understand that I may not be the best person in the world to maintain a vacation rental over time. You're from China too? I'm not from China. I lived there for like 3 months. I was living in Shanghai. I was working there too for it wasn't my company. It was the debate company for which I worked. Later on, I had my own company that did the talk competition debate. But when I was in Shanghai and in Taiwan, it was for the company I worked for. I was the director. By the time I had reached like 3 months in China, I was more than anybody could possibly be ready to come back home to America because China can be very frustrating. I live in California, Mariposa County, California. I live where Yosemite National Forest is. My occupation was a debate coach. Right now, I'm retired, landlord, a landlord of a property that nobody's renting at the moment because I have to finish painting it and stuff. But for most of my career, I was a very successful and worked long hours competition flow debate coach. Now, this is what I do. I sit here with my fingers on my face. Competition flow debate, public forum, policy debate, Lincoln Douglas debate. I also was a speech coach. I have a kid who was a national champion in declamation, who got national championship in declamation. So I do have a little bit of speech stuff under my belt too, but I'm primarily a debate coach. So you are in politics? No, I'm not in politics. It's like a sport, okay? Just like football or baseball, right? I coached it's more like tennis. It's actually like tennis because the competitors are either competing one on one or two on two. So in that regard, it's like tennis. And then there would be topics such as, you know, the United States should And all foreign aid to should suspend all foreign aid to countries not in North America. I don't know, something like that. I just made that one up, but I could look up what the topic is. Anyway, there's an organization that like changes the topic. So public forum topic changes every month, LD every 2 months, policy every year. Policy, you have a you have a topic area. So a policy topic area will be something like, it'll tell you the resolution, but you have to come up with a plan. So it says something like, the United States should substantially increase investment in public infrastructure. And then you have to come up with a plan where on the app, you're saying, this is how we should increase investment in public infrastructure. I cannot believe it. Guess what's on right now? Baseball. The Dodgers versus the Cubs, first spring training game. That's nuts. It's so early. It's February 20th, I guess. Not that early. I watched my girls, my women, my ladies, the USC women's basketball team. I watched them defeat Michigan State. I got Peacock just so I could watch them because Peacock was smart and they contracted for a lot of USC men's and women's basketball games, and I have no choice but to subscribe to Peacock. But at least it's only $39 a year. Yeah, I'm done with the drive. I am married. I have one kid. She lives in Los Angeles. She's not my wife's kid, though. This is my third wife. The kid was from my first wife. And she's 26 now. She's not a kid really anymore. Do you, will you regret after dying that you achieved what you hoped? Do you think living a good life is important or finding meaning in life? Well, I think for people for whom meaning is important, then living a good life requires them to engage with meaning on a regular basis. I think that the distinction between experience and meaning is a understandable one to make, but I think the implication there is it's as simple as you're going to get a bunch of different people in the world who are projecting onto the world their own frames of reference, such that you'll hear a bunch of contradictory things. Like some people say, you need to just be in the moment, carpe diem. Stop, you're overthinking everything. Well, those people are just projecting their frame of reference, which is one that doesn't prioritize meaning making. Similarly, you might remember Trump saying, talk is cheap. Well, that's consistent with his attentional priorities, right? He wants to pay attention to doing shit, not to justifying it. Whereas he needs to do the latter. He needs to justify things as well as just do things. You should keep your assets in a bank in Massachusetts. Drive there would be just about the same. What is legacy for me? I mean, what is my legacy? Like when I think of the term legacy, I think of my coaching legacy. I have a lot of former debaters and former assistant coaches who've gone on to do great things. I actually did impact a lot of people's lives because competition debate, which is not like anything else in school. Okay, it's not unlike normally school does an incredibly inefficient job of educating people, shockingly inefficient because it doesn't have a structure that requires it to prioritize the most salient things. If you're coaching debate, you could approach a given topic in myriad number of ways, and you have only limited amount of time with the debaters, and so you have to have a very good sense of where the salience is. Like, okay, here these arguments are significant enough to be voters to win the round. These other arguments, you might make them, but they don't do enough under any given framework, including their own, to actually be a voter or a reason to vote for you in the round. So being able to just being able to create a hierarchy of significance in terms of relevance, I guess a hierarchy of relevance, without doing so necessarily consciously, is critically important to being a debate coach. What I learned even before then, when I was writing a grammar book, is that things that I find very straightforward are, it's unable for people to do things that I can do that I find very straightforward, even if I think that they're smart and they should be able to do it or whatever. Because like when I was writing this grammar book, I there was a student who was like done with something, done with everything, and she was like, "Is there? What should I do?" And I was like, "Well, if you want, I'm working on this book. You can write some sentences that meet the following criteria." I knew that she could identify those sentences and correctly parse them out, but she was unable to successfully generate them because I guess it's harder than it seems to me, you know. I've discovered that consistently throughout my career. I've been like shocked I was shocked when I became an administrator. When I was a classroom teacher who had English classes in addition to debate, which I was for a little while, I was always filled with anxiety because I thought I wasn't doing a good enough job. Then I became an administrator and I realized just how shitty everyone else's work was. Why we feel that sometimes someone will remember us after our death. I mean, people will remember us after our death until they themselves die. Obviously, after that, you may be discussed, but nobody's actually remembering you. Like, nobody remembers Abraham Lincoln. We we have persistent stories about him, but nobody remembers him because everybody who was alive when he was alive is dead. So probably the saddest part of the grand life arc thing is the part where you've died and the people you love are still alive, or the people you love have died and you're still alive. It's the middle ground of memory that creates all the suffering and joy in life. Are you telling the truth or are you just making it up as you go? Well, I am just quote unquote making it up as I go, but what that means is I'm deciding on exact phrasings of statements as I go, but I'm drawing from a clear understanding developed over years and years of analysis and shit, and so accordingly it's correct. It's as correct as Mama Raccoon's dinner wagon. That BBC gaze. He thought I was Lincoln. How long were you a teacher and what subject did you teach? I came out of college and kind of tried to get a couple of stupid jobs like at Big Five and stuff, and didn't get them. And finally, my dad's like, "Well, you should become a substitute teacher for LA County Schools," because he worked for LA County Schools. And I called one time. And so I was in special ed for the first like 8 to 10 years of my career. And then I I got riffed because I only had an emergency credential and the county was doing reduction in force. That's what riff means. It's the poker tournament. Well, I'm saying all mourning occurs between people who actually remember each other. Nobody mourns for Abraham Lincoln anymore because there's a gap, a generation gap between his death and the present time. Let's see. What subject I teach? So when I became a regular ed teacher after that, I started off teaching English. I got my degree was in English in college. Yes, I got a degree in the language I was already fluent in. Um, and but the thing is, it was when I became an English teacher and I started off at working at this grammar school. It was an after-school program. Then I additionally got a job at Rivet Academy as their middle school English teacher. It was then that the high school debate coach, who at that time was also coaching the middle school team, so I put on my resume that I had debate experience because I was a debater in high school. I actually never coached it though. So anyway, he dumped the middle school debate team on me, and I was hooked. I was thrilled. It was like at first I was like, okay, well this will be interesting, but then we just started winning right away because I'm super good at it. I mean, I'm talking about coaching it. I'm an excellent debater too, to the extent that a full blown adult can still call themselves an excellent debater because obviously we don't engage in competition anymore. But I'm a badass debate coach. I can teach because of that ability to intuitively know which which parts of which arguments have the most relevance. In other words, the highest value or the highest equity in the round. You must win. These are all extremely high equity arguments. If you win any of these, they're voters. These are less high equity arguments, but they're important because they support and back up these voters or something like that. Being able to do that kind of distinction is is what separates you from the pack. That and actually understanding everything better. The example I like to give about understanding things better um, is there was this topic one time that said the probable cause standard should be extended to K through 12 students in the United States, which was basically a way of saying schools slash the police should have to get a warrant to search a kid's locker. But what I understood, and apparently, and remember, debate coaches are a lot of them, most of them are at least somewhat like me. You get a lot of NTPs in debate coaching, um, occasionally some NTJs. The ones who are good, though, they're, I mean, at the highest levels, debate coaches are the smartest people in the country. But the thing is, like in that probable cause one, I understood what it meant, even though I guess nobody else did. Everybody just thought this resolution is about whether or not people will be allowed to search lockers of kids in schools without a warrant. But it's not about that at all, because what the probable cause standard is an evidentiary legitimacy criterion. It says if if there's probable cause and a warrant issued and you get evidence from that search, then you can use it in court. If you don't, you can still search those kids' lockers all you want. It's just whatever you find, you won't be able to use as evidence in court if the probable cause standard applied. And since nobody else, none of the other coaches, even though they're very smart people, all very smart, didn't seem to quite get or didn't get the salience of the fact that the probable cause standard is an evidentiary rule used by judges to exclude evidence. My kids shredded that tournament. We just killed everybody because I was the only one who really understood what the salient arguments were, I guess. What do you think about herd behavior or bandwagon effect? Um, oh, you saw Jello Biafra? Yeah, I think he's in the interview probably too. But I could be wrong. It could be an ENFP. But you could explain why this matters, why this doesn't, how this impacts that, and so forth. Okay, stop ding dinging at me. I don't like to be ding dinged at. Some people had a hard time debating him because he wasn't like other dumb musicians. No, in fact, and when I was in college, he was supposed to come speak at my college. And I got tickets to go see him speak. And then it was like a last minute replacement. They replaced him with Henry Rollins. And I was just like, ew. I went to see it, but it was just horrible. I'm pot committed at this point. I got pocket kings, and the flop comes at 8-2 kings. So now I got a set of kings. There are 2 hearts on the board, so okay. Yeah, and this guy's playing the flush draw. Fuck you. Poor pair board. Oh, that fucking dick sucks out on me. So fucking horrible. I never hit my flush draws. What languages do I speak? I speak English and a little bit of Spanish, some Spanglish, a sprinkling of Chinese. Actually, I speak way more Japanese than I do Chinese, which is not very much Japanese either. You just gotta watch so much anime. 失礼します. Only got 2,000 chips left. So things are pretty desperate here. But you never give up in a tournament. It requires a chip and a chair, as they say, and you got a chance. I just got unlucky to lose 2/3 of my chip stack. So who's to say I can't get lucky next time instead? Or even just not unlucky, because I got my money in good, but he fucking called my raise like Queen 4 of hearts, and I had pocket kings, so he's not a very good player to have called the initial raise in the first place with Queen 4 of hearts. It's just who calls a raise of over 4 times the big blind, not quite 5, with Queen 4 of hearts. He must have just bought into the tournament because if he's playing like that, it doesn't make any sense that he would still be sticking around if he had bought in at the beginning of the tournament. Like, who plays like that? It would be one thing if you were making a move. I'm going to pretend like I got a big hand, even though I only got queen 4 of hearts, and so um, I'm going to raise pre-flop and continue to posture. That's something people might do. But calling a big raise pre-flop with Queen 4 of hearts, who does that? It's just terrible, terrible play. Of course, in poker, terrible play will sometimes win a hand because there's a lot of luck in poker. But that's not, however, I still have, fuck it. No, just, fold. But still, I mean, he's not going to go very far in the tournament if he plays like that usually. No, I don't have any Jewish ancestry. I'm playing poker. My family's German on both sides. My dad's family were like Mennonites, which is kind of Amish light. My mom came from just regular Christians, Brandstetters, that family. Let's look up the last name, Brandstetter. What kind of name is Brandstedt? Right, Brandstetter. It's a German surname derived from the medieval given name Brand, meaning sword or fire, combined with the occupation of setter, meaning denoting a person who works with or makes something. So I come from the Brandstetters, and also the Hofstetters, or on my dad's side of the family. It says similar surnames and it lists Hofstetter there. I've got both in my family tree. And so my my dad's name, my last name, means ostrich in German, Strauss. So I'm an ostrich blacksmith. Half ostrich, half blacksmith, all woman. It just makes the most sense to just go all in here against this and hope for the best. I got 2 life cards now, 1 life card now. Come on. I lost. I'm done. No, I don't want to rebuy. Don't even bother asking me. I don't like late registration, really. Let's see what else is going on here. All right, I'll late reg this feeder tournament. Those are more feasible to deal with. Would you actually be good at making weapons, working with metal and stuff? No, I would not at all. That's just my ancestors. I didn't even know if they were good at it. They just did that job and I just sucked at it. But I don't know. It's like my dad was good at that kind of stuff. Me, not so much. I can remember so many times of just him saying, like, son, when something doesn't work, we don't use the bigger hammer theory. If you see me get frustrated and be like, man, son, what are you doing? I'm doing the thing you told me to do. Not like that. Oh, Eric. What, Dad? What did I do this time? You failed to be a blacksmith and an ostrich. And it's true, I did fail at that. All right, so let's see if I can hit this feeder tournament. I wish you could multi-table on this site. At least now, it's still in beta, you can't multi-table. Poker is a lot easier to play, actually, when you've got like 3 tables open, because, I mean, no more than 3. 2 is probably enough, too. If I was actually doing that and also live streaming, 2 would be enough. So yeah, tomorrow morning I got to drive down to Oakhurst. Get to the bank right when it opens, deposit that check to give myself enough time to get back here for my 10:30 typing session. It takes 45 minutes to go down there, so if I get there at 9, deal with my bank stuff, I should be back by 10. Hi, G. I'm frozen in time. There, I unfroze. It's fine. You can stop panicking. And pull a bong rip. I'm not sure. I don't. I don't know if I've known him or not. I don't recognize his name, but the name that somebody has in their email may be very different from their name in the chat. You know. I don't mean to dox the guy or anything, but I gotta tell, since there's only a couple people here, I'll tell this funny story about. No, because the way it goes down is I get an email from PayPal that says somebody sent you money. This is what their email address is. And I email that email address saying, thank you for purchasing a typing session. Tell me what day and time do you want? And they do. So basically, I am first introduced to their PayPal name, which is not always, but usually their real name. I mean, somewhere on the thing is their real name, but I mean, in the email that PayPal sends me. Yeah, I'll call. Okay, just hush. Don't ding a dang dong at me. Oh. Stop ding a dang donging me. What happens if the person isn't satisfied with the product or service? Oh, I just give them a refund. I mean, the only time people aren't satisfied is just because I've been flaky and like haven't provided the service. There's also been instances where, plenty of instances, not a shit ton, but a few at least, where I've sent a refund even though the person hasn't asked for it. Because, like, for example, I typed this one lady not that long ago, and she was kind of like, she was very committed to being the type that she wanted to be, not the type that she was. And so at the end of the session, she was kind of like she wasn't displeased with the service, but she was she was obviously not happy in general. I issued her the refund. She complained about me issuing the refund because she said, "No, I want you to take it because I want to hire you again." And I said, "You're not going to hire me again. The end. Here's your refund. I don't care if you ask for it or not. You get it." Because I want nothing to do with that crazy person's shit, So I don't want them to have any beholdens over me whatsoever. There's this other guy that I messed up with, like let his email fall through the cracks, and I told him if he'll clarify for me exactly who he is, then I'll send him a refund, but I'll still type him because it's my bad. I fucked up. Anytime anybody wants a refund, even if it's not my bad, I didn't do anything. I just issue it. It's less trouble than fighting it. It's just stupid TE shit, I don't care. It's not an issue of fairness for me. So people have like an end goal with you typing them. They need the identity for some reason. That's weird. It's maximally seen in ESFPs, which is what this case was. ESFPs believe that soul searching with FI And distillation of that soul searching with fourth slot NI is the best way to determine what type you are. So this guy Tyler, who I typed some time back as an ESFP, and then I forgot all about him. And then not that long ago, there was some random person, Tyler, who wanted to have a video call with me just to chat about typology and maybe make a video together. When I joined the thing, I still didn't remember him, but I realized quickly enough, okay, well, I see what we got here. We've got an ESFP who thinks he's an INFJ. And his explanation is basically, I'm the only one who can do soul searching for me. And I know after spending a lot of time in quiet contemplation and reflection that I'm an INFJ. That's not how you determine those things at all, obviously. That's how you determine what's important to you, but not how you determine what's correct. The lady, it was Spacey's ex-girlfriend. But I didn't put two and two together until it was too late. And I mean, that's ultimately the issue that happens is people bring to typology whatever their frame of reference is, whatever their typological frame of reference is. So an SI Dom is going to bring into typology the fundamental core personhood of somebody who prioritizes their own experience in terms of informing them epistemologically. Accordingly, if they think they're a Mia type and you don't agree with them, they'll give you a bunch of examples of how they are inconsistent with Ma type and consistent with Ma type, just as would be expected from an SI Dom. As they're telling me, but what about this detailed example I'm threading in my life? Doesn't this prove I'm not an ISTJ? No, it doesn't prove that. It proves what you're doing right now is completely consistent with it. Same thing with FI tool. FI tool people, they are going to have as a fundamental, the number one tool in their toolbox is, what do they want something to be? Or put themselves in another person's shoes, or distinguish between levels of preciousness between two things. So those people with to be excellent at being subjective means to be weak at being objective, and vice versa. Being objective is not better, remember. It's just it's each frame of reference is better for its own thing. To the extent that we can stay in our own lane, well, the extent to which we can stay in our own lane is determined by the extent to which we can see the lane lines. If you're very subjective by nature, then you're not going to understand that the areas, the dividing line between jurisdictions, subjective and objective, which is important where, because that's a matter of objective calculation. No, not that much. There. Okay, shut up! Don't ding dong me. I don't like that sound. It hurts my heart. Well, I'm going all in with ace queen suited. Up against ace 5. Comes out ace 2 queen. Queen. Queens full of aces will do. So now I've got a fairly large chip stack, 17,000 chips. What could the goal be? Well, the goal is to I guess the goal is to have receipts, you know. I'm an INFJ, not just because I think so, but because Eric says so too, and he's an expert. Same kind of people who believe that they can determine their type by using subjective attention are likely to want objective validation of their subjective preference to render it to give it legitimacy. It's possible though that I don't even know who you're talking about. Gee. I certainly don't know their name. So yeah, I guess who knows what their goal is, but some of them they may have the goal of I'm an INFJ and Eric loves INFJs. I just want to have this great typing experience where he types me and he goes, "Wow, you're an INFJ." Like for somebody like that, they really just don't have any idea that they're not what they think they are, and it comes as a shock to them. And sometimes I mean it matters actually a lot more than people think. People like Rachel, they have a tenuous grasp on their own subjective identity and are subject to being gaslit by other people's projections of those people's identities. When you tell somebody they're not the type they think they are, it can provoke very powerful responses. As with Melissa Talks, I didn't even throw her in type jail. I didn't even tell her she wasn't an ENTP. I just said I was very skeptical of it and I was going to let her go with a warning because there's not quite enough evidence to prove that she's not. I was being very super generous in that video. But she still flipped out, blamed me for her missing a week of work or something. And then when I understood later on, threatened to sue both me and Jack from Socionics for getting all of these people to say she wasn't an ENTP. None of those people probably even saw either of our things. They just independently note what's obviously the case. You're not an ENTP. But because she's not an ENTP, she's projecting a frame of reference where everybody gets what they know from experts. Nobody deliberates it out themselves. Regardless, bad or good, it is, you're talking about stuff that ultimately impacts people a great deal. Sometimes impacts relationships a great deal. When I told CJ O'Connell that he was what he is, an ISFJ, and not what he wanted to be, some kind of intuitive, I have never spoken to the guy again. And we were tight, and it's like that made a huge. It was one of those butterfly flap wing things that causes a hurricane. I suspect that C.J. O'Connell felt offended on some level because he thought that I was saying that I knew more about his experience than he did. But I wasn't saying anything about his experience, right? I wasn't saying his experiences are those of an ISFJ. I'm saying his type is an ISFJ because cognitive attentional function wise, he's first and foremost an SI DOM, secondly, an FE user, and only in fourth slot does he use extroverted intuition. And that's why when I watched his streams, I'd see him doodling on the guitar and stuff. I think that would comprise extroverted intuition, which it can to a certain extent. But if he were really an EDOM, he would have been yammering away the whole time like me. Instead of sitting there and kind of and engaging people through a receiver's frame, which is what he did. Come on, Augie. I win. I am the champion, my friends. I knocked that guy out of this tournament. I got 22,000 in chips. This is a feeder tournament, which means I buy in for $5.50. If I get in the money, then I'll get a ticket for the $55 tournament. So it'll only cost me $5.50 to get into the $50 tournament if I can make the prizes of this. Unlike regular tournaments, feeder tournaments, they don't differentiate between the prizes. Like the top 10 people will all get the same exact prize, a ticket to the $55 tournament. That makes these easier to win or get the prize. I believe wholeheartedly that I can get the prize more than 1 out of 10 times that's necessary to break even. Currently, I've got Queen 5 of diamonds that I had to play because I was in the big blind, and nobody raised coming into me. And the board is 10 Jack 2 of diamonds, 10 of clubs, Jack 2 of diamonds, now 5 of hearts. I've got a 5. All right, let me do this. Okay, shut up with your ding ding. I don't like it. This is a semi bluff. I've got third pair, but I do have a flush draw. So let me just see what homie wants to do with that. He felt folded. Good for me. Good job, Eric. You're a real winner in the game of life. Let's see who's here. Hello, Mercy Eisno. Hey, Eric. I'm the person with the last video you published. Oh, right, that guy. Mystery name. I couldn't remember what your name is or if I ever even knew what your name was when I made the title. So I just put down mystery name because I didn't know what your name was. Do you have a name you want to be called by? Do you want to just be called Mercy Eisno? I just did it because I didn't know what your name was. Normally I write it in the calendar, typing session, Bob. And so then when I put the video up, I go, typing session, Bob. Yours didn't have a name on it. I don't know why. You were fun to talk to. I enjoyed that. You know, like anybody else, I'm typologically aligned to enjoy time spent with some types more than others. I always enjoy spending time with the INFJs. It's always a pleasant conversation. The INFJs and ENTPs get along swimmingly because they're both, because of their intertype relationship, you know. I also get along swimmingly with the ISFJs that I type in less and until they're one who doesn't want to be an ISFJ. Like now Rachel's sister is saying that she's an INFJ. She's an ISFJ, Rachel's sister. But there's no way anybody, including me, even though she doesn't know anything about the subject and I'm an expert at it, could convince her that she's not an INFJ. Any sane person would be able to note the difference between Rachel and her sister. Obviously, these two are not the same type. because Rachel, because of Rachel's like cool sparseness of the INFJ, there's not the there's there aren't a bunch of little relevance details to detract from a matter, and in general, it's like ISFJs their FE tool is gonna express more talkatively than INFJs. INFJs will facilitate moving things forward in a conversation, but because they don't have extroverted intuition conscious, they're more they're more determinedly set in receive mode than ISFJs are, even though both are receiving types. Yeah, 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 both receiving types. Yeah, 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 catch receiving ball. Yeah, 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 go out for a pass. I'm throwing to you. It's my new song, Football. I just wrote it right now. Did you like it? Let's see here. ISFJs are more talkative, period. Nothing else to say about that. What happened to CJ? I'll tell you what happened to CJ. I told him he wasn't um, he wasn't an ENTP, he was an ISFJ. And I never spoke to him again. Mystery Name says, thanks for talking about all this. I'm always wanting to learn more. Yeah, I'll talk about random things, variety of things, As subjects come up, I'll talk about functions for sure. Like I know it's a terrible video because it was a lot of parsing out I was trying to do on the fly, and so accordingly it's not organized like thesis, justifications, link backs, etc. An easy to follow and good video would have been. But my what makes an axe video, I think, covers some pretty important ground, namely that all of these kinds of questions can be understood. They can't necessarily be answered so much as they can be understood. So what makes an axe in this instance, makes is being used as a word that says basically what makes an axe is how do we either how do we know an axe is an axe, or who makes an axe, which it would be a person, right? When we recognize that knowing is a way of paying attention, then we say, well, that's an axe by either using your intuition or your experience. Those are the two ways that we know. And the fact that you want a parsed out explanation of a process, there's the problem. Knowledge isn't a process, so you can't give a parsed out explanation of something that's not a parsed process as though it were a process. And the failure to be able to give a parsed out process breakdown explanation about knowledge functions is not it's a feature, not a bug. We do have things we can parse like that, but for such things, but this is not the such things. We have two ways we have two kinds of epistemic functions: knowing and determining. Who wants to go outside with me and bring our lungs to play? 'Cause I think we'll go outside today and smoke some lings and lays. I'm smoking lings and lays. That's what these are called these days. Smoking lings and lays all the time. Hope you enjoyed my other new song, Lings and Lays. Like what Aristotle is and Plato and all those guys are trying to get at is things like, you know, like I say in that video, who I don't watch the whole thing, but Plato is all interested in this idea of, okay, I get that I can tell that that is a horse because it is a specific horse, and that that is a horse because it is also a specific horse. But what about this concept of horses in general? Where does that thing come from? I mean, the answer is your intuition plus language. After you develop shape constancy as a young, very young baby, you no longer think that when you turn something and it looks different, all of a sudden it's a brand new thing. For a little while, when you're a newborn baby, you think that. So, shape constancy is essentially introverted intuition establishing that distinct things have distinct identities and that you can understand a thing holistically in that fashion. When you look at a thing and consider turning it and looking at it from different angles, you are you've already made the determination that it's a distinct thing, and you're already operating under the principles that distinct things have distinct identities. Physical objects, it's easy to understand how they have distinct identities because I can move one thing and not another thing. I can pick it up and put it down, you know? But it's not just physical objects that have distinct identities. And so you can deal holistically with yourself. That might express as personality type. It might also express and more properly expresses if you're being holistic like that as numerology, astrology, or other hoo-hoo stuff, you know? ENFJs, they can certainly handle dealing with typology holistically because both of them have TI in the front stack. So even though they're trying to grok shit via typology, they're not failing to understand it. If you're trying to grok but not understand, then you look like C.S. Joseph, who neither groks nor understands. Any of your TE DOMs are gonna fail to grok that its purpose is to understand because TE DOMs think everything's purpose is utilitarian. And that's one to grow on. Does everybody feel a little bit more mature now? That's right, I'm helping mature you. Because you're all being very immature. Stop giggling. Stop giggling every time I say the word penis. What was I about to do? Oh, right, get that right. Everybody loves the games he plays. There we go. Now I've got light back here. Okay. Next time I go to town, tomorrow, I guess, but actually maybe get the potting soil in Oakhurst. I need to get potting soil, is what I'm getting at. I sure came across my feed. It reminded me of you. It's called Hippopotamus Song. It was sung on Jimmy Kimmel's show. Says Sean L. Oh, cool. Well, I'm glad things in the world are reminding you of me. That means I'm making a real impression. What you gonna do, bad boy? Because I'm coming for you. With 52, I bet a 52.50. Yeah, I'll call it. I got an overpair. Oh, you got a set of threes, of course. Fuck off. Fine, just go. No, I don't want to rebuy in this dumb tournament. I did something dumb and I feel dumb and I don't feel like I'm good at poker at all. It's fine to not be good at poker, but boo-hoo, boo-hoo. That's what I have to say. You guys hear what I have to say? I say boo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. So you're just gonna have to deal with it. Change segment. Let's see what we have here. Jeremiah Fix says, New Groove, how embarrassing. Did you embarrass yourself again, New Groove? There's no juice to it. It's the SI, though, that totally turns me off. I don't like SI. No offense to any of us. That makes sense you wouldn't, Harold. I mean, it is your 6-slot function, so that's perfectly normal. Don't worry, you aren't dying. You've just finally become a woman. That's called your menstrual period. And it's not like minstrel, like a traveling minstrel show, okay? It's kind of cool to think that I've never thought about that before. My mom's family's name being Brandstetter. Really, my grandma's family's name being Brandstetter. My name being Strauss. Like, they're both German names. They both mean something specific. I'm an ostrich blacksmith. And then another family name is Snyder, which means tailor. So I'm a blacksmith tailor ostrich. It's an Americanized form of German name. Okay. So another one of my family names is Shank. And I'll see what it's Americanized of. I see. Cupbearer or wine server. So my 4 family names are wine server, tailor, blacksmith, and ostrich. 3 of them are jobs, but one of them is an animal. Why do I have an animal in my group of names instead of another job? I kind of want to do that same thing for Rachel. I want to go all of her 4 family names like that. Why are American girls so unhappy? I mean, Rachel's not unhappy. I like what you say, but most gets filtered either out or into the subconscious. Only time will tell which. So for you here, Lamb, INFPs are too SIE to be sexy. Oops. Okay, cool. I need to keep up with the chat better. I'll just fold these eights and get better into it all. Oops. I'm a tailor for ostrich clothing and a blacksmith for their plate armor. And then I served wine after they won in the Great Ostrich War of 1321. Remember, I'm also a wine server. So it's like, I'll tell you what, you leave your horse here. I'll get the shoes on that horse and sit down and have yourself some dinner. I'll be right back. Give me your coat. It looks like it's getting a little tight on you. I'm going to tailor that, make it a little bit bigger. And then once you settle in, I'll be back to take your order and I'll bring you some wine. And then at the end of the night, surprise, surprise, I'll turn into an ostrich. On point. They're told what to like and what to hate, and they still don't like what they're told to like. Jeremiah Fix, that is not a good answer. The correct answer to why are American girls so unhappy is there's no reason to think that American girls are so unhappy. Well, you feel out of place and unable to assimilate because the same conundrum that marks much of humanity, which is it's like those most qualified to know which action to do or which thing to affirm, namely INFJs, potentially INTJs, depending on the circumstances. But let's just focus on INFJs here because I don't want to get the T in the mix. INFJs their superpower is salience or relevance, and they're going to accordingly understand things in a very efficient way by excising the stuff that's less relevant and keeping all the relevant stuff. Accordingly, they're going to feel as they move through the world that they know better than everybody else, but also that that they're not especially good at explaining, convincing TI people that they're right. I periodically say to Rachel, as she says, no. Well, how do you know that? But why do you know? Why do you think that? She'll say, I don't know. Because she doesn't know exactly why she intuits that, because intuition is not a why function. Why is a question. That's getting information. And that's what TI does. I'm not saying everything that has to do with the question is TI, but in that instance, what I'm saying is if the introverted intuition is one of those things where it's a knowledge function. It happens instantaneously. So INFJs don't feel particularly in place in the world because they understand clearly things that other people you might say, make too complicated and or things that other people just seem to not get at all, and yet these other people seem to be more empowered. Well, this is a conundrum we have with between intuitiveness and actualizing and concretizing. The people who are most intuitive, or which is to say, like the people who are most heavily skewed towards communication functions, are ENTP and INFJ, respectively. No, INFJ and ENTP, respectively, because INFJs are the most metaphysical type. That means that they're the most correct type of the knowers. You know, they know what ought to be quite clearly, and yet because they're one of those intuitives who has all the attentional abilities to be correct slash know, be most relevant, etc., we therefore are most stuck in the non-corporeal realm. So in other words, those who are most able to do things are least qualified to know what to do. Those who are most qualified to know what to do are least able to do things. Do you know? Do you know what I'm saying when I say meow 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 me 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 meow meow mew 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 mew? Does anybody know what I'm saying? I can barely figure it out. Ace Jack offsuit. I'm not thrilled with it, but okay. I will call 30 cents. You win. You got me. I'm gonna call 30 cents. Okay, well, I've got an ace now. Got a pair of aces with a jack kicker. Okay, I'll bet 350. He called again. What are you doing? Stinky McPoops a lot? You don't got shit. You missed your club draw. Oh no, actually he had a worse kicker on an ace pair of aces. I thought he was on a flush draw. He had ace 10. How unfortunate for him. Nanny, nanny, nanny. My kicker was a jack. I just nanny, nanny, nanny the fuck out of that guy. Let me clean off my glasusos. As we like to call him in old Mexico. Is there a Spanish speaker here? Hay demasiado chupacabras en este pueblo? Oh no. ¿En tu pueblo? Oh sí. Well, Sean L., did I type you? I typed you, right? You should. You're not an item. You should listen to me, not him. It doesn't mean that it's impossible that he's right in the situation and I'm wrong because I don't exactly remember your typing session. So the less I remember your typing session, the more possible it is in my mind for you to be something other than what I designate you as. If I were to type you again or something, I could say like, yeah, with further testing, either my previous thing is just further confirmed, or I'm beginning to retreat from my previous conclusion. But I I don't remember finding you particularly challenging to type. If you're in the market for confusion, there are plenty of sellers in the typology community. I wouldn't say that Isaiah Rude is one such seller. He's not, he's trying to type correctly ish, but he's still an NE dom. He wants to get his own shit in there more than he wants to do anybody else's ideas. Unfortunately, there's not room for your own shit in typology because unless it's unless it's like providing another good example of meow or something, if you're trying to tweak it, like I think we should prioritize these kind of test questions instead, you're barking up the wrong tree. Namely, you're barking up a eucalyptus tree, and I need you to bark up a redwood tree. So, as usual, you are, that's right, doing it wrong. You're doing everything wrong. Okay, well, I mean, I'm not offering to type you again. I'm just saying, if I were to, lots of people still question stuff, and that's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter to me if you think I'm right or not. It doesn't matter to me because either I am or I'm not right. And it's like this. It's before the flop. You've got pocket aces. It's always the right decision to go all in with that hand. And that if the not I'm not saying it's always the right decision to put all your money in first, but to call an all in. It's always the right decision with aces. That doesn't mean your hand will necessarily win, but it's still the right decision. So what I'm saying is if I if I believed that in a given type session, in a given typing session, I had folded pocket aces, but somehow like sucked out, well, that would make me unhappy. In other words, when I am wrong because I deviate from what I know about how to type people and what works and stuff, then I regret that. I end up being wrong without good reason. Like I think who was it? There's somebody that oh, I know who. I think was it Mackenzie? I think it was Mackenzie. I typed somebody anyway, ENFJ first, and they turned out to be ESTP. And the reason I had mistyped them was because I prioritized my gut regarding their FE over what my own typing test showed me as results. And then later on, I became convinced that she convinced me, and another person convinced me to. I mean, right, the other person was trying to convince me, but my engagement with her convinced me further because I retyped her that she was in fact ESTP and I had been wrong. That does happen sometimes, but it usually happens when that kind of thing happens, where I break my own rules to issue a type other than what the rules say it should be. Well, John L., I know, but what you're pretending is that you're creating a false equivalency here that says, uh, because it's possible for everybody to validate everything through their own frames of reference, that it's valid to validate everything through your own frame of reference in every instance, which is absolutely not. So, yes, it's absolutely valid for me to bring up TI objections regarding consistency and stuff, and what you said before and what you say now on things that link to TI. If it's really about like something that's not TI, like say, for example, you've changed your mind and decided you were walking to the fridge to get a Coke, but you decided to get an orange soda instead. And you come back and your spouse goes, "Hey, I thought you said you were going to get a Coke. Were you lying?" Well, that wouldn't make any sense. It's obviously just changed their mind. It's the wrong frame of reference to apply to that moment, right? Most people in the world massively over apply their own frames of reference to circumstances and situations that for which they are not well suited. In the best situation, we have some kind of awareness of our weaknesses and avoid those areas so we are not attending via the wrong functions to the wrong thing. But for most of the world, they have zero understanding of cognitive functions, and accordingly, or if they are, it doesn't really matter what type they are, whether it's TI tool or FI tool, they are getting out of their lane all the time. My first marriage, I basically spent lots of time in my first marriage telling my first wife, listen, FI is bad. You need to use TI justifications for things. Because I didn't understand intentional manners at all. And I just genuinely believed like I could explain enough to this woman that she would stop being an FI dom. And she would understand that she's just choosing to be subjective for no good reason. You know, you can choose to use a little bit of logic. I mean, you keep talking about your preference and how important things are to you. Well, that's not relevant to anything. What are you thinking, woman? And it's me doing what everybody does all the time. So, but I don't do that now. Now I understand, and I have correctly explained everything. Descriptions, if you say similarity to a type description, and that description is not about processes and mechanics of somebody, well, then it's a meaningless comparison. That's the sort of thing that SIDOMs do. Type them as you're an ISTJ, and they'll say, or ISFJ, and they'll say, but, you know, about 3 months ago, I went to meh, and I did this and this. And doesn't that sound like a meh? Well, what you just did sounds a shit ton like an SIDOM. So the point is, John, yes, it's true. You can find myriad variation between different people's engagements with cognitive functions in terms of explaining stuff. But don't be disingenuous and pretend as though you're not fully aware that my argument is and always has been that they are all wrong and I am correct. To the extent that they are exclusive of anything I say, that exclusive thing is incorrect. And that cognitive functions are indeed the kind of thing in which there's one single correct explanation and all other contrary explanations are incorrect. That is my position. I've maintained it for quite a long time now. And it is the correct position because I'm correct about what I said. So if you want to doubt typology because other people are wrong, you're doing a poor job of thinking. It's like the fact that in this whole marketplace, everybody else's gold is fake doesn't change the fact that mine is real. And it's absolutely not the case for everything. So most people incorrectly think that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, that their taste in music is just as correct as mine. They are wrong, but that's the sort of thing that nobody can win the argument about because it's not a parsing matter, it's a knowing matter. You're talking about Sean? Well, I mean, I might have gotten him wrong. It's possible. I get people wrong sometimes, and I'm open to learning that I got him wrong. I certainly, I certainly am willing to, like as happened with Mackenzie. If there's a bunch of like hoopla, uproar about it or something, then I'm certainly willing to revisit and see if I might have been wrong, might have missed something. It's conceivable that I didn't give enough extroverted intuition tests to be sure about polar. Possible. I don't really remember it, you know. So, oh, it was Elaine. Right. Sorry, it was Elaine, not Mackenzie. Thank you, Jeremiah Fix. She's what does she look like? She looks like this lady. I don't know. She just looks like a regular lady. I'm trying to decide if I should spend the money I get from the study I'm enrolled in on a typing session or a nice smoky bottle of scotch. The scotch will probably last longer than an hour. He looking like a man? Who does? Blonde Polish woman. That's Aga, Jeremiah Fix. That's not Mackenzie or Elaine. Oh, muggity, muggity, meow. Muggity, muggity, mew. I think that Pa and Ma are you. If you want to see what is inside me, you'll need a machine with an X-ray G. So that's 5 point. No, this one, right? In half an hour, I'm going to start the big tournament. I have just barely enough chips to enter it. $55 tournament is starting in 30 minutes. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kick around here in the stream, walk around the house and shit. Hey, Hong Kong Sports. I'm not a senior citizen. I'm 53. That makes me just this side of a newborn baby. Just to the right of a newborn baby. Why does the future go to the right? I mean, why does older go to the right? It's just arbitrarily picked that direction. You could put it whatever direction you want. It's just that younger has to be the opposite direction. I want a drink other than coffee. And then I want to walk around the house and examine things and point at some things. Maybe I'll shake my head at a few things that disappoint me. I'll point out some things to you guys. Give you kind of like the tour bus guide guy. Everybody's families all visited Hollywood and they've gone on a tour bus with some other families and the tour bus driver is in the front on a microphone telling them what they're looking at. Like, oh, that's Bob Barker's house over there. Even though Bob Barker's dead, but we're imagining this tour happened a while ago, okay? Now, You're going to have such a good time on this tour. You're going to be so glad you did this. At first, you didn't, it was like, it sounds like a hassle. But, but now you were just so glad you did it. It was so much fun. That's what you're going to say afterwards. Don't say it yet. It's too soon for you to say that. A horrible taste of Adderall. Eric, how does a lack of sciente present itself in an individual's life? Well, one thing it does is it creates a thought of like, how in the world did people get so much stuff done? And sometimes for you more than for you, it's also like, and why? For me, I can get a shit ton of stuff done and it all be trash because it's just me having worked through, okay, this is another way not to do this. You know, the extrovert intuition way is the stupid long way. It's the alternative to clearly knowing what's most relevant right now, which is NI. So, accordingly, as an extroverted intuitor, trying to capture holistic correctness, which is the sort of thing one determines with NI. But when I make music, for example, I'm trying to discover the song rather than write it, because all good music is like the discovered kind, not the written kind. So the biggest challenge is the contemporary world doesn't have a lot of spaces carved out for uselessness, for useless people. ENTPs, INFJs, we are not useful people in the contemporary society. And even when we are potentially extremely useful, people don't want to use us for that. You know, what do ENTPs and INFJs both do best? Know when something's wrong. It's a different kind of thing that they know when it's wrong about. INFJs are better about knowing when things are holistically wrong. ENTPs knowing when things don't parse out correctly for TI. But guess what? Nobody wants to hire somebody to do. Tell them how and why and that they're wrong. Nobody likes that. That's not a useful skill to have. If you're talking about utility in terms of earning power, the only job in which it actually is great is lawyer slash debate coach. That's your job. Oh, somebody's trying to sue you? And you need to hire somebody to do what? To tell them and everybody else that they are wrong, and that, in fact, not only should they not be suing you, but you should be suing them. That's how wrong they are. And, okay, and that's fine if you're a lawyer. It is a sunny and happy day. Yeah, Gyalt. It is the case that looking at that thing. Sorry. If you're gonna take Adderall or whatever, you should. No problem, Mercy Eyes. No, I mean mystery name. Uh, my whole train of thought has collapsed. Why can one not take the knowing what's wrong and invert the info so that it's knowing what to do other than be wrong? Well, because NI is a receiving function when it's in the first slot. you're basically asking, why can't the quarterback drop the pass? Or why can't the receiver also make the pass? Because those are two distinct jobs. And the other thing is, what to do is the important words there in terms of understanding what's going on. It's like you don't just know in order to do things. You don't determine statuses in order to do things necessarily. You can. And now that we know the restaurant's open, let's go. Because earlier we weren't sure if it would be open yet. That would be predicating doing something on knowing something. But you could also just know things and not do anything at all. Like I know that Pearl Jam is terrible. That didn't mean I was going to go tell the neighbors to turn off their music. You know? I would have been correct about Pearl Jam, but incorrect about telling them what to do. Let's look at the woods. Oh, the beautiful woods where the forest creatures live. Today is a day of wonder and sunshine for all. Let's smoke this cigarette. That's why I came out here in the first place. And then we'll continue our wonderful tour. I'll do the bus sounds too. So you can really feel like you're on a tour bus. Okay. Let's start at the beginning. I'll go back to where my beer is from the beginning. And we'll do our tour bus. Now that I got a cigarette later, I can tour bus. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Mariposa Pines Tour Bus Express 1 p.m. shuttle. I'm going to be your tour guide. My name is Stan, and I hail originally from Nebraska. Anybody here from Nebraska? Any visitors from Nebraska? Hey, good to see you out there. All right, let's get going. As we move along here, we're going to make a right turn to the driveway and garage area. If you'll look to your right, you're going to see a garage door resplendent in dappled sunlight. If you look up, that's right, straight up all the way. What's that quirky little guy up there? It's a rooster. Wow, fun. You might be saying, a lot of people ask questions about this, is that driveway super steep or what? The answer is yes, it's pretty steep. We're getting a little bumpy, folks, here. We're going off-road, and we're here. Hope nobody got jostled too much. These are the rocks to the right of the driveway. Unlike the driveway, these rocks are just on regular dirt. You're not supposed to drive your car over here. Down there is the gully. And for the first time all year, after the recent rains, you can hear our little stream down there. So very tranquil. All right, let's keep going. Jacob, bus driver Jacob. There's the mailman lady. All right, go get the mail. Okay, thank you, bus driver Jacob. Let's continue on our bus ride. If you look to your right, you can catch a quick glimpse inside the garage. Obviously, celebrities like the people who live in the garage want their privacy, so we'll just check this door, but sometimes they leave it open for us. Oh, there they are. Hey, what are you doing? I'm naked. Oh, sorry. Now to our right still, we're going to see, and this is one of the big photo ops on the tour. If you want to get out and take your camera, what we have here is a green hose. It carries water from, I don't know, somewhere out to the front of the hose. Yes, you have a question. Oh, my name, did I not introduce myself? I'm Tialatin. Tialatin Smarkins. Tialatin Smarkins is my name, and I am living the dream as a tour guide. Yeah. It's so green, right? We're going to go ahead and do a full 180 now and show you a green chair. Oh my God, is it a color theme or something? Hey, Jacob, I wasn't ready to go yet. Okay, now we're at a place colloquially known by the locals as the Hill. The hill behind the house. Oh, it's got all the features of a hill. It's got up, it's got down, it's got grass growing on it. It's one of the most hilly hills you're likely to find anywhere in hill country. Now, since we're parked here, Jacob, please don't drive away before I'm ready next time. Thank you. Let's take a gander at what's known as moss gardens. In between these little rocks, these flat rocks, is little strips of moss. Isn't that nice? Wouldn't you like to just lie down on some moss right now? Well, unfortunately, there's no patch of moss big enough to lie down on. You have to straddle both moss and rock. This is my shadow. In case you can't tell which one it is, it's this one. It's this one. All right. Now let's... Thanks, y'all. It is quite green. Now we're going to take a sip of this beverage. Here's your classic Mariposa scene. Still life with junk mail. This is the junk mail. The newspaper is not junk mail, but I don't actually read the physical copy of it. It's just if you live in Mariposa and subscribe to the digital thing, there's only one subscription. You have to get the paper and then you get the digital for free, you know? I'm not going to poop outside, show me yet. Even if I did, I don't think that would actually entertain you very much. Okay, let's continue on our exciting bus tour. Yes, bus driver Jacob, can you please get in the bus? Now we're ready to go. You're in line. You're on the clock right now, Jacob. Oh, they do? They've got $1.99 cappuccinos? Okay, well, let's all get off the bus and get those for a second then. That is a good deal. Normally, cappuccinos at this place are $5.99. All right, Jacob, you ready? Let's go. Might get a little bumpy here, folks. All right, and we're going to pull up here. what you're going to see right before your eyes here. Some people ask me, has that barbecue been hit by a shrink ray? The answer is no. It's technically, this is the size it's supposed to be. And they call it a hibachi. Yes, you in the back. Oh, that is a concrete square. All right, I'm about to run out of batteries. So I'm going to see you later. I'll stream again later, probably. Thanks for being here.